Hello, here to talk about favourite film number 82 today, William Friedkin's Sorcerer, made in 1977. Although it was not a commercial or critical success at the time, it has since become a cult film, and a lot of that has to do with how it was made. Friedkin had recently had massive successes with The French Connection and The Exorcist, winning an Oscar for Best Director on The French Connection. Roy Scheider, who stars in the film, had just made Jaws, and he previously worked with William Friedkin on The French Connection. The film also stars Francisco Rabal, Bruno Kramer and Amadou. Now it's about four men, a hitman, a getaway driver, a banker and a terrorist, and how they end up having to transport this nitroglycerin to an oil well which has caught fire. The problem is the nitroglycerin has to be transported by truck, and any extreme vibration or sudden movement could cause the material to explode. And so they have to go through these very harsh terrains, the rope suspension bridge, which I'll come to in a moment, and many other problems which arise. Now, Friedkin, in his book, The Friedkin Connection, which is an amazing read, talks about how Sorcerer was the most challenging film he'd made at that point. He wanted it to be his calling card. And in many ways it kind of is. It was so agonisingly difficult to make, and to watch this, to experience this film. It's pure immersive storytelling. So much of the film is told with the camera rather than dialogue. And it's done not in a pretentious way like, oh, we're not having dialogue because we want the camera. It's very organic. And as you can see from this image of the rope suspension bridge, which was the toughest sequence and took ages to film and get right, an amazing feat of just logistics. They built the bridge, but then the water level underneath, sunk down to nothing. So then they had to find another location. They had problems. I think one time the truck actually went over the thing, which obviously didn't work for the story. So amazing, and how it turned out. Films nowadays don't tend to be as immersive because they don't rely on such practical considerations. If it was done now, it'd be all computers, or they would fake it with elements combined in a computer rather than doing it organically like Friedkin did. Now, the reason why the film wasn't successful, apart from its grim and one would say almost sluggish pace, at least compared to the big blockbuster that came out a few weeks after, Star Wars, is because, well, one was about, very easily defined characters, good and evil, whereas there's a grey area in Sorcerer. The reason why it's one of Friedkin's best films is because he gets you to care about these people. It's not something that immediately resonated with critics and audiences, but with releases of the Blu-ray, which looks amazing, by the way, and I watched it again last night, and it was like experiencing it for the first time. It was just incredible, an amazing experience. I even liked Tangerine Dream's score for the first time. Previously I thought it was a little bit cheesy, having a synthesizer score for something that was so serious. Maybe it needed something, a bit more low-key, but with, live instruments as opposed to, keyboards and whatnot. But it worked just fine, and it was something that led to Tangerine Dream getting a lot of film work afterwards on films like The Keep and Thief. So Sorcerer is now my 82nd favourite film, and it's the second William Friedkin film after The French Connection. I love this movie. I reviewed it on Real Talk Movie Reviews, one of my first psychedelic reviews. Give that a little look if you like. And it's just top to bottom an impressively made film, which you can see the hard work that went into making it, and it's just a completely transformative experience, and one which I highly recommend.